Hey everyone, welcome back to Jameson's Repair Shop. Well, working on the 65 Thunderbird Convertible again. This rocker, you see it's on. Well, this video, you will see me recondition this rocker panel. So this is a driver's side rocker for this Thunderbird. I took it off about a year, 2 years ago. I took that rocker off to do work in the rest of it. And now it's time to put it back on so I can work on the rest of the quarter panel. And that brings me to that question I asked 2 videos ago about the hole on the rear deck when it comes back down, because they're backwards of the hardtop ones where they go up this way and then these ones come back toward the front. And on each side there's a latching mechanism. It's like a screw and it turns. It's run by driven by one motor and 2 cables that go out to these latching mechanisms. And it's when it comes down it mates with those latch pockets. And if they're not in the right place, it's going to be not going to work. So I was worried about losing that measurement. It's better to have the factory measurement, and that's what I have. And thanks everyone for trying to answer that question. Anyway, let's get into the video and we'll get this old rocker done up. Okay, let's get on this rocker panel right here. Now there's a few things with this rocker panel and I'll show you in a second. I'll take this panel off. The back end of it, of the rocker, has been rusted. The rest of the rocker is in nice shape, except for right here. It's low. It got damaged there somehow, and there's a low spot right here. So let's get it off first, and we'll see if we can take a little bit of this curvature out here, this dent right here. So the first thing I need to do is pull this little patch panel off right here. A couple of Clecos, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And I think there's a chicken lips on this too. I put a chicken lips on, yes I did. And if you don't know what I mean by chicken lips, these are also Clecos, and they work really well for small jobs. They aren't super strong, but they do help. All right, so I've got that off, and you'll see the flange I have on, and this is what these quarter panels look like from the factory, as far as I know, except right in here, there's about sort of like this. It's neater than that, of course, because it was stamped in there. There's an indentation that met this piece right here. So when I extend this along, I have to build this out on this rocker. I have to go back to about there. That's kind of where I need it to go. It doesn't have to be super wide, because this is all covered. So we'll go back like that, but it has to come down and flatten out so it can be welded on. So really there's about an area right about here, a mating surface, that this indentation, when it's put in, will spot weld to, right there, or plug weld to in my case. Then, because it's just a flat edge on the steel, like so, they leaded that seam over. So Ford went and leaded that seam over even. So if you see these cars, just a little tip, and you're thinking about buying one of these cars, and you see this is not straight, right with the body like this, and it comes and it goes out, that means somebody had just slapped a piece of metal over it, because this is supposed to be flat right along there. That shouldn't be any change in the thickness, and that would have been leaded. So that whole area right here, this indentation, would have been leaded in. In this case, it's going to have body filler in it. Anyway, so we'll get this aside for now, and we'll have to put that in before we finish the quarter here. But for now, get my glasses back on so I can see something. But for now, we're going to make a little piece. I'm going to straighten this out a little bit, get rid of that lead that's in there. And I'm just going to extend this along so it comes down and sits flush, and this will be a little lip. And they actually had little flanges on them like this. I'm just drawing it out here. It's not a big deal. So this was a flange, and this was a flange. I think it was more like this right here. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what it's going to look like when I'm done, because the quarter panel covers all that. So this rocker has been taken off already, as you can see, just like that. These cars were bad. These cars were bad for being damaged in these low areas because they're so low to the ground. I think it's only 4.5 inch ground clearance on this car. So no much wonder these rockers and the rear quarters all got smashed up. They were very low. not like a Camaro or a Mustang where they set up, I think they're like 7.5 inches high off the ground. I might be wrong about that, but that's just what I'm going to say right now. So I'm going to try to get this out of here. Hopefully I don't stretch the metal any more than it already is. First though, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to get some from this side. So let's see what we can do here. Get you guys around a little bit. So just little taps. Okay, well, just by doing that, it's a little low right here, but that brought that out, and I see some filler on there, so I'm going to have to clean this filler off first. It looks like someone tried to fix it. Right in there is all, it's got filler. It's not rusted through, as you can see, it's in really good shape in there. I think if I could just tap a little with my edge of the hammer, I'll get that body line back in. There's a bit of a curve, like a lip there. There. It's not too bad. That's a lot better. So I'm going to get a grinder, it's geared up, air grinder, and I'm going to take that old filler off. Ooh. There, I had to put my mask on. I almost started doing it without it. I was like, that's not a good idea. Wear your mask, guys, and your hearing protection. What was that you said? That's what happens if you don't wear your hearing protection. Anyhow, here we are. Made a mess. I have my vent fan on. I'll shut it back off. It works really well. It pulls all of that dust out, and I have a big exhaust fan on that side, which I didn't turn on, but if it was going to be longer work, I would definitely turn it on. All right, so we got a mess here, but we did get rid of all that body filler. So you guys probably can't see it. There's a ridge. There was a gouge, so that's what happened. They ran along something and then they filled it with filler. So I'm going to just kind of tap that out. I'll put my ear muffs back on, and I'm just going to go along and tap that back out. Actually, no, I have that. That'll work. I was going to say I have a dolly, and I do right here. But this is the same as a dolly, except it's a little bit more heavy duty. So I'll put my hearing protection back on and see if I can do something with this. And I'm going to listen to the radio too while I'm doing it. There we go. I didn't want to stop because I was listening to Nelly Furtado. Whatever happened to Nelly Furtado anyway? I like her singing. Anyway, guys, I think that's good enough. I can just feel a tiny, tiny little bit of ridge there, just a tiny bit. The rest is pretty darn good. So now we have this end to fix. I think what I'm going to do though, I'm going to trim this off a little bit. And like I said, it looks like there's a bit of lead left in it. Or is that a piece of the old quarter? Can't tell from here. I'm going to clean that edge up a little bit. I'll probably just cut it off. I already have, if you guys can see it, I already have the indentation that it goes in and it steps back. So I have that on there. So if I just trim it off a bit, and then I can weld onto that. Clean this up a bit here. Okay, she's back on. I used the old spot weld holes where I cut them out as an alignment. I don't think I'm going to have to put a cleco in because of this. As long as I line up the old spot weld holes, which are tons of them, it'll be fine. This top one needs to be hammered flat again. I missed that. The bottom's fitting quite nice now. And that dent, wherever it went, right here, there's a little bit left, like I said. All right, so let's build a piece right here. First, you're gonna grind this away, this old stuff. Now I know what I'm doing. So there we go, we got that cut off nice and neat. It's cleaned up that little old bit of metal that was stuck on there. So now I'm gonna have to get myself a piece of steel that's at least, so it has to be long enough that when I drop it back down, it'll give me a flat surface right here. And it has to be wide enough to give me some flanges. So, really, essentially what I'm going to be doing is taking a piece of steel and making a box so long on the brake. And then I'm just going to slit it and drop those down and bend the tabs. So, all right, let's get a piece of steel set up. And if it's oversized, so be it. I'd rather make it once than twice. All right, here we go. We got a piece made. It's not perfect. This is never going to be seen again. All this is a place to fasten the quarter panel to, as I explained earlier. I wanted to keep it sort of flat up here. Goes along like that, and even that doesn't matter too much. So now, I kind of want it to come back to about here. And then drop down. So I'm going to split it. Set my mouth. I'm going to split these sides down like this, and I'm going to drop that back. Because this is the area that the plug welds will be put on, right there. There. Then I'll weld it in there. I'll cut these pieces off, and then we'll weld it in. So there she is. That's kind of what it looked like right there. Except maybe it was filled in a little better there. Anyway, I think I'm just gonna tack it on right about there, and I'll have to kind of manipulate it, put some, actually I could put some spot weld holes in. These flanges don't need to be 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to trim those back a bit right now. And this one doesn't need to be 3/4. So I'll trim it back. I'll trim all those back a tiny bit. And I'll put some plug weld holes in, and we'll go from there. There we go, got some plug weld holes in it. I'll get the welder over here and I'm going to tack it on. I'll have to do a little work with this, but I think that'll do it. And then I'll have a surface to put this on. There. Alright, that should hold it. I'll take it off and I'll line things up. And I think it's going to be good there, so I may as well burn that in. There, that's burnt in. So now I have to tap this down a little bit. This will have to be bent a tiny bit. I don't know how I'm gonna clamp that on there. Anyway, that's a ways off. Not a ways off. All right, there she's in. So I'll have to I'll weld the backside, and then this has to be straightened out a little bit here. And yeah, we'll call that, I'll give it a little hammering to straighten that out some so it can lays flatter. I noticed it curled back some. Okay, I didn't like the look of that gap there, so I filled it in. Took only a second. I left it a little loose there because this all has to be pushed up to go flat with the bottom. But that's looking pretty good. That's double welded. It's welded on both sides, flattened out on the top. And then once I red oxide the inside of this, we'll put her on. Well, it looks pretty good. And then over here, I did the same. Wire wheeled it a bit and made sure that that's all done. Extra coat, why not? Well, that was a bit of a struggle getting that down in there. She's still smoldering. I'll stick around and make sure there's no fires break out. Cleaned her up, put her on. And underneath, again, ugly welds need to be all ground, but they're all on the bottom. I made sure of that. A few of those welds probably on the inside look like a prickly pear cactus. And you may ask, how does some northern hillbilly from Saskatchewan know what a prickly pear cactus looks like? Well, just so happens in Saskatchewan, we have prickly pear cactus in the southern part. Now I can start finishing up this little area and this rest of this rear quarter panel. So if you've been still here watching this video, thank you very much for staying around. And that's it for this one. Everyone take care. And I'll try to get another one out on this old fabulous Thunderbird pretty soon.